Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Clark here with the UGO, and I have a special guest, Miss Michelle Court from the University of Connecticut. And she's going to share some information about her university and some of her entry requirements. Hello, Michelle.
Hello.
Welcome to UConn.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
So what's the name of the university and where is it located?
Okay. So I work for the University of Connecticut. So we are in the state of Connecticut. We're on the East Coast of the United States. And specifically our main campus is located in Storrs, Connecticut. So Storrs is a small town. Basically, Storrs is the university and the university is Storrs. There would be no Storrs without UConn.
Very nice.
So we're a very contained kind of environment.
Okay.
Yeah. And a little bit more about location. We're in between Boston and New York City.
Okay.
So that's an easier reference for students to kind of put us on the map. About an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Boston by car, and about 2.5 to 3 hours away from New York City by car.
Okay, very good. What makes your university unique?
So, I think one of them is location. As I already mentioned, I think we have we benefit greatly from being in between the two big cities. However, you know, because of the location of our main campus in Storrs, we're really in a rural environment. And it's really a nice setting for students to really concentrate on their studies, to really build community, you know, with other students. We're very residential, so 73% of our students live on campus.
Okay.
I believe we're number 3 when you compare us to other public institutions in terms of the high percentage of students living on campus. So that's one of them. I think that kind of balance between kind of rural, beautiful, kind of natural setting with great infrastructure, and then being in between the two big cities that students can access from buses that leave from the center of campus and they can go on the weekend or, you know, during break or something like that. So that's one of them.
Okay.
You know, I think our academics are really good, and I think they're getting stronger as we go. There are a lot of new initiatives that I'll probably mention a little bit later. But really high quality, you know, education. We have some very unique programs, like we have a puppetry major. I think there are only 2 in the country or something like that.
Major,
yes.
wow.
It's very, very unique and world-renowned, really, our puppetry department. We have a human rights major that students don't know about that is very special. We're one of, I think, 17 universities in the U.S. that have been recognized by UNESCO. So we have a UNESCO chair that has been established at UConn. So, you know, we're really well known for research. There's a lot that goes on, you know, in terms of research, and our students are able to kind of benefit from that and, you know, help faculty with their research projects as well. So I think those are some of the highlights, but really, yeah.
Sounds good. Do you have any top programs? What are your most popular programs at your school?
So in terms of the number of students going into them, biology, I think, is our biggest program. Psychology is also very big. Economics. You know, when you look at where international students are going, our business school, very popular. Actually, actuarial science is a program that is also very popular with international students, even though actuarial science, though, is not in business. It's within the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Some students assume that it's within business, but it's not. And I mean, the sciences in general are just very strong at the university. A lot going on in the STEM fields. So those are probably some of them. Again, I mentioned puppetry. It's a very small program, but for those who are interested, it's, you know, it's a really great opportunity. I'm trying to think what else. We have a fair number of students going into engineering, specifically biomedical engineering and mechanical engineering.
Excellent.
Let me see what else. Well, nursing is also very competitive to get into, so we only enroll about 100 students every year in that program, but it's really high quality. I mean, that's why it's, you know, competitive. We have limited seats, and we have a 6-year pharmacy program, so it's a doctor of pharmacy program.
Very nice. Sounds like a great place to be.
It is. It really is.
Can you tell me, do you require TOEFL or IELTS scores for admission?
Yeah, so for students for whom English is not their native language or their first language, we do require either an IELTS or a TOEFL score.
Okay.
Our minimum IELTS requirement is 6.5, and our minimum TOEFL is a 79.
Okay.
However, we do look at individual scores within the overall.
Yes.
So if we have a student who has, you know, even a 90 TOEFL, but they have a 13 reading and a 15 writing, that student might be actually recommended for conditional admission. We do have a conditional admission program.
Nice to know.
Yeah, where students come in for the summer, 4 weeks, intensive English, you know, classes, and they need to meet certain requirements at the end of it to then transition into the bachelor's program. So we do have that. And we, again, we do have those minimums, but we're looking for the individual scores, and we're looking for a good balance within that breakdown.
So if a student was in an English-speaking school for 4 years or is taking English level A or higher level English, would you require a TOEFL score as well?
So here's the thing. Most students, again, if their first language was not English, the default is that they will be required to submit IELTS or TOEFL. That's what's going to show up in their student account when they submit an application to UConn.
Yes.
However, if they want us to consider waiving that, they need to contact us.
Okay.
The reason for that is because our processing staff, the people that are processing the applications, before they get to me, to an admissions officer, they don't have enough, they're not prepared enough to make that call on whether or not we can waive based on each individual student situation.
Okay.
That's why we can't upfront be waiving these things. But if a student thinks that they that we should be really looking at, waiving this requirement, they can contact our office directly, and then their application would come to one of us and we would take a look. But they shouldn't wait, because they should do that pretty soon after submitting their application, because if not, it will remain incomplete.
Okay.
Because we're still waiting for that test.
Okay. That's good to know. Good to know. What is your average IB score, your minimum IB score that you require?
So we really don't have one. It's not really the way we look at students' applications. But, in terms of the grades, we're looking for students to be somewhere, we're hoping for mostly 5s and above. So, I mean, we do have students who might, be getting a 4 here and there, and that's okay, depending on what courses those were, what they're looking to get into. But we're hoping for for pretty strong grades. But it's just that we don't really think when we think of the IB program, we don't really have a minimum overall score that we're looking for. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Do you accept math studies? In IB, you have this higher level math, you have standard level math, and then there's this math studies, which is a form of standard level math. Do you accept that?
Yeah, we would take that. It's just that it might not be one of the IB scores or subjects that we would give credit for.
Okay.
So it would count as one of the math components that they have. So, at UConn we require a minimum of 3 years of math, high school math, whichever, it doesn't matter what level it was, but we need to see a minimum of 3 years of math.
Okay.
So whether it was math studies or, a different kind of math, that'd be fine. It's just that the math studies might not qualify for college credit.
Okay, excellent. That's good to know. And one more question. Do you accept IGCSE scores?
So we accept that kind of information in terms of the review of the application. So to consider students for admission, we definitely do look at that. But students would not be getting any kind of college credit from those scores.
Okay, so it's possible to be admitted with your IGCSE scores? Yeah,
I mean, again, we prefer to see A levels or IB. We prefer to see that students have taken it, a step further.
Yes.
But we're willing to consider and to take a look at students who are only submitting IGCSEs. And that's a little bit new. This year I have a new supervisor, so things are changing a bit.
Very good.
But we really encourage students to take it to the next level, whether it's A levels or IB.
Very nice. And just to follow up on university credit, do you give credit for higher level classes?
So we do for students who are completing the diploma program. So if they're only doing some kind of certificate, the high levels would not count.
Okay.
So they need to be, granted an IB diploma in order for us to consider. And it's specific subjects. So I don't know them off the top of my head, but we do have information on that on our website.
Okay, very
so
nice.
Students can actually see which subjects and what types of scores we're looking for in order to give them credit.
Okay, and what about your ACT or SAT requirement? Do you have those scores?
So we do require SAT or ACT. There are some schools that don't, but we do for all students. We don't really have a minimum, but just to give you a sense, in past years, our middle 50% of students who were admitted were somewhere between an 1150 and a 1350 for the combined critical reading and math only. We don't really do much with the writing portion.
Okay.
So that's more or less where, again, the middle 50% was.
Okay.
And it's going up. I mean, it is getting very competitive to get into UConn. And this incoming class this year had an average of 1230 for the combined critical reading and math.
Okay.
So it is, I feel like our scores in our middle 50% range is probably going to be going
Absolutely.
up as years go by.
How about ACT?
So for ACT, the equivalent of that 1230 would probably be about a 28.
Okay.
I believe, and when you look at that range, I believe you're looking at maybe 25 to probably 30 or 31. We do have a conversion chart. I don't remember exactly, but I think, if you're doing your 1150 SAT to 1350, you're probably the equivalent for the ACT would probably be around a 25 to about a 30 or 31.
Okay, that's good. And that includes ACT with writing, or does it matter?
We don't look at the writing, so
Okay.
if the student took it, we'll see it, but we won't really do anything with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. And what's your average class size at UConn?
It's about 30 students on average. Most of our classes will have around that. But obviously when students are sort of fulfilling their general education requirement courses that every student has to take regardless of major, those courses would be larger.
Okay.
They're going to be in a larger class setting. They could be sitting with 200 other students
Okay.
in a big lecture hall.
Okay.
And the way we remediate that is by having breakdown discussion sections. So students will have an opportunity to then meet with either the professor or a teaching assistant and kind of review, go over the information of the lecture again and ask further questions. So that's how kind of we balance out the big lecture halls. As students move further and further into their major, the classes get smaller.
Okay,
Yeah.
very nice. And what is your average teacher-student ratio?
It's about 1 to 18.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Thank you for your information.
You're welcome.
And welcome to UChung.
Thank
and I hope
you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
I hope you all learned something today about the University of Connecticut. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark signing out.